Marriage is not supposed to be a life sentence. Some men stay married the same way prisoners stay in their cells, not because the door is locked, but because they've forgotten they still have the key. Most men go into marriage thinking it will last forever. And that's the story we're sold, right? You work hard, stay faithful, tough it out through the rough patches, and everything will work out. You stay through sickness and health, good times and bad, no matter what. But here's where a lot of men get it wrong. They confuse enduring hard times together with enduring a marriage that is itself the hard time. There's a massive difference between weathering external storms as a team and living in a relationship that has become the storm. One builds character and connection, the other slowly erodes your soul. And just so you know where I'm coming from, I spent over 20 years in my first marriage. We raised a family, built a life, but over time it became a loveless, disconnected partnership. It ended in divorce when I was about 50. After that, I fell into a toxic relationship that was even worse. I was so miserable after those 2 failed relationships that I hit a breaking point. I knew I had to change or I'd keep repeating the same patterns. And from working on myself, I learned I'd been stuck in nice guy syndrome behavior for years, avoiding conflict, people pleasing, never really showing up as my authentic self. I did the hard work of figuring out who I actually was beneath all that conditioning. And when I met my current wife, I showed up differently. Clearer, stronger, more honest about my needs and boundaries. I didn't hide my flaws or intentions, and even though I swore I'd never get married again, I eventually did, and this time it's been completely different. A healthy, easy, fulfilling relationship. So just so you know where I'm coming from, I'm not anti-marriage. I'm not anti-women. I went through an angry phase and awakened to how things are. I get that, but I didn't stay angry. I'm not bitter. I'm just telling the truth about what I learned the hard way. I want you to know that I know from my own battle wounds that what we're talking about here is complicated. What happens for a lot of men is that they stop evaluating the health of the relationship. They run on autopilot. They become so used to minimizing their own needs that one day they wake up and think, why do I feel like I need permission to make simple decisions? Why do I feel so drained, like I'm always walking on eggshells? Why do I fantasize more about peace and freedom than about connection? And here's what's really happening. Good men who want to be loving husbands and fathers, gradually learn to suppress their authentic responses to keep the peace. They tell themselves they're being mature when they're actually being managed. They mistake conflict avoidance for love. And you start rationalizing away your dissatisfaction. I mean, the things that we say to ourselves. Marriage is supposed to be work, or she's just stressed, or I should be more grateful, or other guys have it worse. You become an expert at explaining away your own experience. Many men end up living in quiet desperation. They shut down emotionally. They escape into work, hobbies, devices, or addictions. The marriage doesn't feel like a team anymore, if it ever did. It feels like a trap. And the worst part, you feel guilty for even thinking that. Hell, back when I was married, I would have felt guilty about even watching this video. We were sold another toxic idea, that marriage is about 2 people becoming one. When you erase the boundaries between 2 people, you also erase the individuals themselves. In a healthy marriage, you don't merge into one identity. You stay 2 whole people who respect each other's autonomy, space, and growth. That's not selfishness. That's maturity. When you lose yourself in the name of unity, you don't become more loving. As you know, you become resentful. And your partner doesn't get the best version of you. They get a diminished version who's afraid to take up space. Now, I'm not naive. I know why men stay in marriages that are slowly killing them. It's not just psychological. There are real practical fears. Financial ruin, losing half your assets, maybe more, alimony payments that stretch for years, losing access to your kids, becoming a weekend dad, missing bedtime stories and soccer games, and then there's social judgment, family disappointment, religious guilt, the fear of being seen as a quitter or a failure. These constraints are real, and I'm not minimizing them. But here's what I learned. The cost of staying in a relationship that erases you is often higher than the cost of leaving. And my divorce cost me a lot of money and emotional pain, no doubt about it. Keep in mind that you're not just losing money or convenience if you leave. If you stay in a horrible marriage, you're losing years of your life, your emotional and physical health, and your ability to model what healthy relationships look like for your kids. To me, a good marriage isn't built on need or dependency. It's a union of two adults who can stand on their own, but choose to walk together. There's synergy. There's mutual respect. There's room to breathe. You can trust each other to have separate interests. You don't need to control each other. You don't need permission to be yourself. You handle conflict directly without drama. Most importantly, you both show up fully. You don't have to hide parts of yourself to keep the peace. You can express your needs, concerns, your dreams without being shut down or managed or judged. And one thing we need to talk about is that a lot of what gets called normal marriage isn't normal at all. It's just common. So if you feel like a roommate, not a partner, avoid saying what you really think because you know it'll cause friction. Feel like you're always being monitored or managed or have to ask for permission. Can't remember the last time you felt seen. Find yourself thinking, I love her, but I don't like her. Feel more relaxed when she's not around. Then you're not in a healthy marriage. You're in a slow bleed. If this is your reality, the question isn't whether you're grateful enough or trying hard enough. The question is whether you're actually living or just surviving. Just because you said, "till death do us part," doesn't mean you have to serve a life sentence. That vow only means something if both people are still showing up fully. It takes two. Commitment is not captivity. Endurance alone doesn't make something good. You don't owe your past self decades of quiet suffering. You owe your future self honesty. Start by getting honest about what you're actually experiencing versus what you think you should be experiencing. Stop explaining away your dissatisfaction. Stop calling endurance virtue when it's really just fear. And look, I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm not suggesting you stay or get divorced. That's a decision only you can make. I am saying stop confusing endurance with honor. Stop calling a prison a partnership. Look at your life honestly. Ask the hard questions. And whatever you choose, make sure it is a choice, not a sentence. Your life is not a dress rehearsal. The years you spend in quiet desperation are years you don't get back. You deserve to be either alone and happy or in a relationship where you can breathe, where you can be yourself, where you feel genuinely valued, not just tolerated. Let me know in the comments if any of this hits close to home or if you've ever felt stuck in a marriage that quietly erased you. You're not alone, and you're certainly not crazy for questioning it. It's actually a good idea to question it, regardless of what you decide to do. And if you're ready to stop people-pleasing and start showing up authentically in your relationships, be sure to check out my other videos where I break down exactly how to do that. Because whether you stay or go, you need to know who you actually are beneath all that conditioning. Thanks for watching.